Kabir wiped the sweat off his forehead, the glow of molten metal reflecting in his tired eyes. His hands were rough, scarred from years of welding. But this job was different. This job was life or death. Beside him, his best friend and welding partner, Rafik, tightened his grip on the torch. They had spent 15 years working side by side, building machines, bridges, and dreams. But tonight, they weren't just welding steel. They were welding hope. Because if they failed, someone would die. The journey of fire and steel. Kabir and Rafik had always been more than welders. They were craftsmen. Artists who shaped metal into structures that stood the test of time. But life had never been kind to them. Born in a poor neighborhood, they started welding at a young age. They worked long hours, inhaled toxic fumes, and burned their skin more times than they could count. But they never gave up. Their dream was simple: to one day own their own welding shop. A place where they weren't just workers but masters of their craft. But dreams require money, and money was always scarce. One day, an opportunity came knocking. A high-profile bridge construction project needed expert welders. The pay was huge, enough to change their lives forever. But the risk? Even greater. The company wanted a quick fix on a structurally weak section of the bridge. If they failed, it wouldn't just be metal collapsing. It would be lives lost. Kabir hesitated. This isn't just a job, Rafik. This is a gamble with lives. Rafik's eyes burned with determination. Then we make sure we don't fail. They shook hands. A silent promise. The night of fire. Under the dark sky, they climbed onto the bridge, welding torches in hand. The river roared beneath them. A reminder of what lay below if they made a single mistake. Their task: reinforce the support beams before the morning traffic. The welding had to be flawless, or the weight of the cars would break the structure apart. Kabir's hands moved with precision, sparks flying around him like fireflies. Rafik worked beside him, their movements synchronized, their breath steady. They had done this 1,000 times before. But tonight, something felt wrong. A deep groaning sound echoed through the steel. The bridge shifted beneath their feet. Kabir's heart pounded. The structure's weaker than we thought. A deep crack formed in one of the beams. If it collapsed now, they would fall with it. Rafik yelled, "We have 1 hour before the morning traffic. We have to finish this." Kabir swallowed hard. 1 hour. One chance. One last spark. A race against time. Sweat dripped into their eyes as they worked. Their arms ached, their lungs burned, but they refused to stop. They reinforced the structure with every ounce of skill they had. The bridge groaned again. Time was running out. Then, it happened. A massive bolt snapped loose, striking Rafik in the shoulder. He stumbled, slipping toward the edge. Kabir lunged, grabbing his friend's hand just in time. But now, only one of them could weld. And the structure wasn't ready. Kabir's voice shook. "I can't do this alone." Rafik, gripping his injured shoulder, growled, "You can. You have to." Kabir had never welded without Rafik by his side. The fear of failure crept into his heart. But then he saw it. A small engraving on Rafik's welding torch. The words they had carved together. Years ago. "Steel never breaks. And neither do we." Kabir took a deep breath. And then, with one last burst of fire and steel, he welded the final piece into place. The bridge held. They had done it. The reward of perseverance. Morning arrived and the first cars crossed safely. No cracks. No collapse. Just strength. Just survival. The company offered them double pay for their dedication. But something more valuable happened that day. A well-known engineer witnessed their work. He offered them funding to open their own welding shop. Rafik smiled through the pain. "We did it, Kabir." Kabir looked at their calloused hands. The hands that had built not just structures, but a future. "No," he said. "We are just getting started." The legacy of the last spark. Years later, they stood inside their own welding shop. training young apprentices, passing on their craft, their story. And above the shop's entrance in bold steel letters were the words, "Steel never breaks. And neither do we." Because in the end, it wasn't just about welding metal. It was about welding dreams, welding hope, and most of all, welding a future that could never be broken.